This year I've done a fair bit of the working on this boat, and it may yet get finished this year. That would be nice. I think we could get that. Won't promise though, but I would actually like to get that boat off this bench, get the test run done, get it fully operational, especially since it is actually so close. You know, there are a couple of little tricky things to get right, but I haven't done any balsa model building. So next year, especially if I can, well, would this table be the best? Either this one or another one. This is a door. I'll see what's the most suitable, but I guess this positioning is better, but I'd need to move the camera so that you get a better view. I would like to get to Balsa, and so the video that I did covering the Harvard and Corsair, Top Flight Corsair, which I didn't go into great detail on, but those were the two kits that I was lucky enough to get, and I did also get the Picker Spitfire. They're all just about the same size. I think the Picker Spitfire is maybe a bit smaller. So I got those because I was just looking for, firstly I was looking for Top Flight and something nice to build, and so in the end it was this Marutaka Royal Harvard, which was really something that I've been looking for, even though it's you can't call it a great kit. It's just a kit of the Harvard. It probably is the best of those in that particular size range. And the Top Flight Corsair, which I don't think there are many, Balsa built up Corsair kits in that size, so it's probably also the best of those. And then of course this Mustang, which I've been working on the wings in previous times. I have done nothing recently, but the Mustang will sort of be set aside once I've completed the wings. But I've got this Harvard and the Corsair, which I would like to do something, and I'm thinking the Harvard would probably be the correct one to start with, but it doesn't have to be that one. I made a list of all of the upgrades and improvements and detail areas that I'd like to do on the Harvard. The downside of that is that it turns a average Balsa aircraft build into a lot longer one. On the Corsair, I don't need to do any detail work because obviously I'm a huge Harvard fan. I like the Corsair a lot, but I'm not going to put that into that Corsair build. The Corsair build, I'm happy to just build a stock standard Top Flight Corsair. And although I've still got that Picker Spitfire, the Picker Spitfire is inferior to both of them, and it's a build that while you're doing it, it's probably the fastest of the builds. You can make a nice model out of it, but it's not like if you had to compare that to plastic kits, you would be dealing with a far better quality kit with the Harvard and the Corsair. The Spitfire would be sort of like some Series 1 entry level and not greatly molded type of kit, whereas the other two are not bad at all. So I need to do a little bit of thinking as to which of them actually gets put here on this workbench after this boat is out of here. Now, putting it on this workbench means that I can't sit here and do plastics. So I also need to think of the arrangement of exactly how I handle a wooden build at the same time as doing all of the usual stuff. And the balsa build is, you know, doing some pieces and then letting it dry, and doing some pieces and letting it dry. If we refer to bucket list mentality on the two, then I absolutely want the Harvard build. So from that perspective, I would tackle the Harvard first, but it does mean that it takes way longer. Let me just grab this. This is the cowling, spun aluminium cowling for the Harvard. Now, you know, we're not going to be pedantic and compare to the real Harvard in all respects. This the Harvard build, you can improve some things. The cowling of the Harvard is not symmetrical all around, and you sort of, I don't know, some people wouldn't really notice it. It's got a different taper up on the top and the bottom, and on the left and right are not the same as top and bottom. But for a model of this level, this is really, really not bad. So I just need to keep in mind when I approach the Harvard model, it is a very nicely presented model, and we build it within those confines, upgrade some pieces, give some good detail. I want a nice cockpit, undercarriage bays, things like that. But, you know, firstly, don't go overboard and start researching and converting everything, because then you don't start with this model, because you'll change absolutely everything about it. And number two, don't be upset about its failings. It is what it is. One of my friends built one of these back in the 80s. Yes, late 80s. And a very, very nice presented model, as long as you're not a rivet counter. Now, I am a bit of a rivet counter on some models, and I'm not on others. I try and keep it within reason. I like to be a rivet counter on things that I like to be a rivet counter on. But in general, I can let things pass, because, you know, practically, you just enjoy your build and don't be too pedantic about it. So, do I do the Corsair or do I do the Harvard? The Corsair's base ring I've got here, the cowling is in two parts. So this one is done in a, not sure what type of plastic. It could be an ABS plastic. So as I say, with the Corsair build, I would go at it a lot faster, be more relaxed about it. So from that point of view, I am sort of thinking that the Corsair would be the one to tackle. And some of the things that I learned from the Mustang, which I won't go into now, that's sort of the level that I'd like to put into the into the Corsair. Do a nice balsa build, not just a slap together balsa build, but the Harvard, I want to do a build plus a lot of detail. Okay, that's a little bit of two different things. And of course the wooden boats. So the the boat that needs a little bit of attention after this one, which is laying the frames and the keel, that can happen at the same time as one of the balsa builds. That's sort of a slower process, and doing the planking is, it doesn't matter if it takes a long time to do the planking on that, as long as it's making accurate and good progress on the boat. The Escampavio, which probably will do at the same time. That can happen even just behind me here. I've cut, as we did sort of many months back. We sort of tried to establish the more correct shape of those frames, cut them out of a better wood. There's still a bit of final shaping, but it'll be nice to see that take form. So if that also happens next year, just slowly getting the whole established, because you make and break the whole so easily in the first stages of planking. You get certain basics wrong, and that's a bit of a wonky hole that you've made, which is what happened on this one. As I said, this one was a rebuild because of serious wonky business, and even the rebuild didn't happen as perfectly as I'd like the Escampavio to be. Although this one's very nice, there's things that, and it's around the shape of the frames and the exact, I suppose the quality of the frames caused that, the quality of the wood and the quality of the frames. And that Escampavia I would like to be, sort of a model build, a technically you couldn't fault anything that happened during the build of that, and absolutely, excellent alignment, excellent symmetry, excellent stress balancing as the planking happens, and so on and so on. So yes, I think I would like to see that hole take place. This hole here, I can't remember exactly now, because this goes way back to 2002 maybe. Could it be? No, maybe a bit later than that, 2004. But I can't remember over how many months that planking happened, and I doubt it would have been that quick. So quite a number of months, and that was fast work. That was sort of just trying to get it done. The Escampavio can take longer than that. Okay, time to go and do some stuff inside. Happy modeling. Cheers.